If Russia is an unsafe place to visit, there's been no sign of it during the FIFA World Cup. Despite all the headlines and the hype, Russia, for the moment at least, seems like a fun country excited to host the world for sport's biggest party. This reporter recently spent a fortnight in Russia, with stops in Moscow, Kazan, Sochi and Samara. And while Australia's hopes were dashed at the first hurdle, tourists from down under have fared better, with the cry of "better than we expected" becoming almost universal. Like most other countries, Russia has its idiosyncrasies which need to be embraced, not seen as a source of annoyance, and if travelers head there expecting everyone to speak English, they're in for a shock. But travel is all about new experiences, so for those open-minded tourists, Russia is a fantastic destination. The language barrier in Moscow and St. Petersburg, enough people speak English for you to get by. But if you're headed elsewhere, or do not want to rely on some patchy English, it is best to download the Google Translate app. Socceroos fans at a live site in Sochi. Photo, get it is easy to work, a brilliant tool that will solve many a problem. Of course, it helps to brush up on a few phrases. Even just a simple hello and thank you go a long way. Getting around, metro services in most of Russia's major cities work fantastically. In Moscow's metro, for example, trains run roughly every 2 minutes through more than 100 stations during the day, and every 5 minutes, after midnight. Trains are clean, safe and easy to navigate, putting Australia's services to shame. Uber is also popular in Russia and a much better bet for tourists keen to avoid getting ripped off. Moscow's metro system is not only efficient, but many stations are works of art. Photo, get it. Taxi drivers will, from experience, do everything in their power to get as much money out of you as possible. The beauty about Uber is it is often a set price, and because of the rating system, drivers do not rip you off, take you the long way or blast awful music. Traffic jams in Moscow can be horrendous, too, making the metro the best bet if you are in a rush. Safety and health. Because of the heavy police presence in Russia for the World Cup, it was rare to feel unsafe. Of course, that is not the status quo, and you should keep your wits about you if it is late at night, the same as any other city. Members of the tourist police force, created especially for the World Cup. Photo, get tourists are advised to avoid tap water in Russia, too, meaning that bottled water, always ask without gas if that is your preference, is a regular purchase. Going out, the local cuisine is probably better than you might think. Specialities include borscht, a beetroot soup, pelmeni, dumplings, shash-like think chicken, beef skewers, and a range of sweet and savory pastries. Horse meat is popular in Russia, too, but the New Daily would strongly advise against consuming. That was a mistake. On the other hand, chok, a doughy, honey-flavored cake popular in the Kazan region, is sensational. The Tatar speciality, chok. Photo, russisworld.com. Do not expect to be wowed by service. It is always slow, and if you go to Russia expecting Australian-style service, you will be severely disappointed. Patience is a virtue, and one that you will need. Bars, pubs and nightclubs are popular and, like most places, talking to the locals always improves the night. Accommodation. Most hotels in Russia are basic, but do the job. You will almost certainly be confused trying to find them, though, given the lack of signs accommodation providers tend to use. Google Maps can help this process, but always give yourself time to find your accommodation, as it can often be a stressful, "have I booked something that does not exist" type of experience. Street names can be confusing, too. Even if an address reads, Alexandra Street, number 15, building 7, it may not be on Alexandra Street. Getting there. Australian tourists need a visa to enter Russia, and it is recommended you apply at least 6 weeks before you leave. This process can be sped up if necessary, but comes at an additional cost. Tourist tip. Most tourists will go to Moscow and St. Petersburg, but if there is one city that does not get the headlines that you should visit, then it is Kazan. The Kazan Kremlin is a World Heritage Site. Photo, Get capital of the Republic of Tatarstan. Kazan is a city full of beautiful landmarks, friendly people and fine food, including the Chok Chok. Australia's base at the FIFA World Cup was a hit with tourists, reporters and players alike. And for good reason.